naturally. They don't.
So
Just for translation.
To get a low res.
Yeah, we get low res. And what we normally have is like a few hours of time to translate all the show. This is a 45-minute show, and the language is pretty heavy. It's a tough language.
Mm-hmm.
It's very old, has very different, words in it. So you need to look it up from the dictionary, internet. It's so interesting, so interesting. So what we usually have here is like a few hours left to the show, and we go like, oh my God, are we going to make it to the show? Yes, we should be going to make it to the show. So we usually, spend like hours on translation, then subtitling. Not only translation. When translation is over, we go to the subtitling room and we wait for the subtitling, which is in real time. Like it takes 45 minutes to 47 minutes or 48 minutes in tops, which is a whole lot of process and a whole lot of time, as you can see.
So the factoring difference is we've saved all the time.
Yeah,
We've
absolutely.
saved all the
Money.
resource of
Sure.
person power.
Yeah,
And we're doing it at a fraction of the cost,
absolutely.
at a fraction of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has joined us who has said that if we can show that this is 95% accurate,
Mm-hmm.
that they would launch it immediately at 7 television networks near you.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we're going to have to test each one of the 33 languages to demo that each work at 95%. But if so, then we can announce that we'll be doing translations for 7 networks immediately, in addition to other stuff. Is there other aspects you wanted to cover?
No, that's all.
Did you cover all your notes?
I did.
Okay, you're dismissed.
Thank you.
Salazar
Sorry.
is back.
Okay.
And Tanya, who you haven't met yet, is up. And they're going to talk about branding and other business opportunities, and also insurance, how that may fit, and e-learning.
Who would you like to start?
Well, you might describe who you are, and then you guys can take it from there. Have
Okay,
fun.
that's great. All right, my name is Tanya Eberhardt. I am a speaker and author and an agent to Business Stars. I own the company called BrandFace. And I do a lot of training, both in person, instructor-led training, and then through an online training platform. I work with clients across all kinds of industries. Most often I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals and people in the entertainment industry who are the face of their brand. And so the implications that this software has in the training world is incredible. And I'll let Salazar tune in at this moment, and then I'll come back and fill you in on my thoughts.
Yes, hi, I'm Theta Salazar. I go by my last name, obviously, it's a habit. 8 years in the military. I was an intelligence specialist for our great United States Navy. I served in 2 units, EUCOMJAC, which is European Communications Joint Analysis Command, and NAVCENT, which is basically the Navy's version of the CIA. We did counterintelligence against terrorist drug rings globally. After that, I thought it would be excellent to get my law degree. So I actually attended 4 different law schools. One of the reasons why I attended 4 different law schools is because I started my law career while I was still in the Navy. So I ended up being transferred to quite a few different law schools because my duty station shifted. And I graduated from Abraham Lincoln School of Law in beautiful downtown Los Angeles. I am also a subject matter expert in criminal and traffic for the state of California. And I served on the National Legislative Committee of the Screen Actors Guild. I was AFL-CIO delegate for SAG-AFTRA, and I'm presently on the National Television Nominating Committee for SAG-AFTRA. So I come to you with the entertainment side and as an entertainment attorney, and also government background informationalist. So.
I really would have hated to follow that.
And
Yes.
thank you for your service, Salazar.
My pleasure.
But I'll speak just for a moment on the e-learning industry. How I teach people is a mixture of live instruction and online instruction. And obviously the implications of that are tremendous. the ability to, for instance, my online training modules have video training in them, they have audio training, and they have downloadable documents, which is all text training. And so the ability to, within one module, within one training piece, to be able to translate those in 33 languages in 30 seconds is incredible. So that takes my ability to increase my revenue stream, my profit, et cetera, to the sky. And so in terms of, instructor-led training and live training, imagine, if you will, someone standing on a stage and doing live training and having multiple monitors on the screen to represent every language that is represented in the room. And in real time, communicating your message to all of that audience in a way that all of them can understand very clearly what you're talking about. Again, that's just tremendous training. And then I also come from a broadcast background. I spent about 18 years in the radio industry. And I'm working with a client right now who we're trying to help syndicate a radio show. And before we started talking about this software, I was looking at that opportunity as a U.S. opportunity. And obviously wasn't even thinking beyond the English language. But now, this is very exciting because we have the ability to now take this beyond the English language and present it to the world in real-time translation. And so the ability for that client to increase his revenue off of that opportunity is tremendous as well.
One of the things that I think about is we think about your people who are actually fortunate enough to be global changers in the original days, such as your Henry Fords, your Rockefellers, your J. Paul Gettys. Think about the impact that they made from a global perspective. Now, imagine had they had this technology. Basically, you can be the next J. Paul Getty. You can be the next Rockefeller because you have the ability to make a global imprint based upon the technology that we are featuring here today. So it doesn't matter what your actual business module is. It doesn't matter what actual sector of society that you are in from a business perspective. This has the ability to impact every actual entity, and it can be a positive format from the actual specifications that I mentioned to you earlier, whether it's government, whether it's media, whether it's your actual trade and commerce with your facilitation of relationships from your actual international trade and commerce agreements or your treaties. So that's what brings me to the forefront because I've said it before, I enjoy the possibility of making money. I love the revenue, but I even am much more enthroned with the opportunity to change the world for the better. And that's what I actually see this technology is. So the actual possibilities are limitless. It's only going to be your imagination that stops you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm in stereo, look at me. So Melissa has some other features and benefits of this that we haven't demonstrated yet. By the way, thank you for coming, Manpreet. This is Manpreet, he came all the way from India today. So if you would take 10 minutes and go through other features.
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing that I'd like to do is outline what they are, and then I'd like to show them, just to give everybody kind of a good idea. So the first thing is that you are able to instantaneously have the ability to communicate with people in 33 different languages, but aside from that, you're able to create e-learning content in 33 different languages. So for example, Tanya would have the ability to go in and to create a simulation on literally any process that she wanted to, and essentially create a simulation or create an e-learning course so that she would then be able to take that content and embed it on a website. So if, for example, if I have a writing website, for example, if I'm teaching people how to write, I have the ability to actually create the content in 33 different languages, provide the video then in the other language, and then at the very end even embed an assessment if I'd like to ensure that people can actually be tested on this. So if I have, for example, a web portal that I'm trying to develop for students, I can give them each usernames and passwords so that they can then go to the website, they can consume the e-learning content, and then at the end I can actually have a full report that lets me know how every single person did. So it's a very powerful software that is not only just for language translation, but it's also for learning and for creating content. So that means that I can create not only the voice translation, but I can also create different content. So basically, would you like to speak a little bit more, Tanya, to what that would mean for e-learning?
Sure. Absolutely. So as I was saying there, I have in my own company, I teach among a couple of different ways. Live training, online training, and then of course one thing we haven't talked about yet is the web conferencing, which of course everybody does now because it beats the heck out of traveling so far, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Exactly. So the ability to take what Melissa was talking about, the video portion, audio, text, and instantly translate that is incredible. But I can envision being on a web conference now and not having that language barrier, we're just completely removing that, and having 10, 15 people from different countries, different continents, if you will, being able to easily communicate back and forth in real time. That changes the scope of e-learning completely.
Absolutely.
And so it's so exciting to me. My head spins a lot, since I've learned about this software. I stay up late at night trying to figure out how can we utilize this, and as Salazar so effectively put it, it's not just about making money, it's really about changing the world and changing the way that we communicate with each other. And e-learning is, since e-learning has become so prominent, with the rise in tuition in a lot of your schools, a lot of the schools have gone to online learning, and so I think that is the wave of the future, and this can completely change that wave.
Absolutely. Let's face it, instructor-led training is terrible. I mean, it's boring, you fall asleep, typically you forget around 80% of everything that you learn within 2 weeks. So for that reason, being able to have content that's available for you on demand on a mobile device, on an iPhone, on an iPad, real time when you want to hear it. So I can be in the grocery store, not picking out the right groceries, if you will, because I'm consuming my e-learning content. So there's a lot of power in being able to have that mobility and being able to ensure that you're able to have that level of, basically learning on demand.
Right. And just another neat side note to that is that when you're doing all the e-learning and there's the video component where people can see you, it would be really tough to fall asleep and get away with it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's very true.
That's right. It's true.
Yeah, people would actually see you snoring.
That's true.
When I first started training.
In different languages.
Oh,
too.
absolutely. When I first started training many moons ago, they actually sometimes would have people get up and do jumping jacks in the middle of training classes just to keep everyone focused and alert. So now you don't have to worry about doing jumping jacks anymore in the middle of training class.
Right. It's kind of like in church or in any kind of an event, and you're watching the. What is the sign language person at the front, and you're thinking, wow, that's almost real time. It's interesting to see that communication going on. This is similar to that, but it does keep you in tune more because it's in your language, and so you don't,
Absolutely.
it's real time. It's fantastic.
And so you can actually, with this application, create content for literally any Windows-based application, and you can teach someone how to do anything. I could create an e-learning course on how to teach someone how to send an email, how to do, God forbid, Excel formulas. So you literally have the ability to do any kind of training that you need to do. So, really the applications are endless when you think about the fact that you could teach people. In fact, Salazar, did you want to talk a little bit more about the medical industry and kind of the way that things are changing with regulation and things like that?
Sure.
Because I think that this plays a big component there.
Yes, I am not a doctor. I have played one on television. Basically, with the medical society, which is changing, imagine if you would, now we have surgeons that travel around the world because they specialize in certain medicines where they do have doctors that are not prevalent in that actual area. There was most recently a doctor who traveled to Haiti who separated conjoined twins successfully. And if any of you know, if you've seen conjoined twins that are actually, their mortality rate is very low. Whereas this doctor was able to travel to that industry, to that area, and he had to take with him certified translators because they had to actually translate everything that was going on with the medical reports, everything that was taking place with the actual specifications to the surgical procedures and communicate with the nursing staff and the medical staff and the other doctors that were there to assist with this groundbreaking procedure. So this technology was not there for them. But imagine having this technology in certain areas where we can go and do humanitarian missions, or we can go and do actual surgeries and procedures and have doctors able to communicate. The doctors, at some instance, might not even need to go themselves. Technology will take us to a place where the doctors can instruct the surgeons there and have the breakdown presented to them from the language translation in real time. And this can assist in life-changing medical revolutionary methodology. So that's where we're going with this. This is not just one particular aspect of anything. Like I mentioned earlier, communication is the science of life. And that is the cornerstone of our society and our civilization. So with the medical technology that can be implemented, with the legal technology that can be implemented, as she mentioned with the e-learning, it's just something that we owe it to ourselves as citizens of this world to go forward with this as vigorously and fervently as we can.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So essentially, one thing that's very important too when it comes to creating content, and I know that Tanya can attest to this, is that you're only as good as the content that you create. So for that reason, with this solution, we're able to have basically 3 components. One is, of course, the translation mechanism that you've already seen, the web page. A second is we can actually provide a web page as well that allows for you to control versioning, check-in, workflow, and systems of approval. So for example, if Tanya is my boss, I can create a document and I can send that over to Tanya, and she can approve or reject it by adding her annotations and kicking it back to me. So what that literally means is that nothing gets published on the end user website for the workers to see or for anyone else to see until it's been completely approved by a full series of people. So basically what that does is that puts training back in my control, because has anyone ever been in an office where you've got 5 people who are looking for the same version of a PowerPoint, or you can't figure out what is the most current version of a PowerPoint, everybody's looking at the timestamp? How much of a nightmare is that? That's a real nightmare. Essentially what we're creating is we're creating one document that can continuously be updated. That one document that I'm creating has a variation of 35 different outputs that I can get with it. So I can go in and create a recording that literally takes 30 seconds. I can then take that recording and I can turn it into a workflow instruction document. I can make it into a simulation or various other different components so that I can tailor the needs of my learners. And then I can also take those recordings and I can put them together. So for essentially Tanya, you could actually go in and you could create in real time a video of you talking, translate that video then into 33 different languages. Then you can embed a simulation right behind that that showed a process, and at the very end you can put a assessment. And of course, you can make these courses as short or as long as you want. Now again, you have to think about your end user. You know, they say that the average person has an attention span that's shorter than a goldfish. So for that reason, it's very important to remember that, you know, you want to make sure that these presentations are not too long. So it's a really, really powerful solution, and as you can see, there are many different things that can be done. So we also have the ability to go in, and as you'll also see, you can batch publish. So if I want to, I could go in and I could have it available in HTML, PowerPoint, Word, essentially any other format that I would like as well. And I can also basically provide context-sensitive help as well within the application. So if I want to have little pop-up messages that take me and point me into other applications, I can do that as well. So I can do that with Oracle, SAP, kind of anything else that I want to. And I also have my favorite feature of the tool as well, which I have a glossary. So I can actually create an entire list of lingo, if you will. Whenever you join an organization, what is the hardest thing to learn? Yes. The lingo.